Hi, Ian.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Good. Thanks for being my backup today.
I'm going to do my best.
Make you a co-host. All right, for all those in the room, we're going to start at 1 o'clock. And good afternoon, everybody. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Maggie, how are you?
Good. This is my new camera. I like it. It's much better than my laptop camera. Five minutes till start, guys. 5 minutes till start. Time to log in on time. So quiet. I should have like played music at a time.
Isn't that Ian's job to make the background noise so we don't get bored? Oh, that woke him up.
I can.
Is it as just as kind of dreary and rainy as it is up here? I get a lot of nods. Yeah, this is one of those days, huh?
And we're getting heavy winds.
We definitely had that last night. sure. Three minutes till start. We are going to start at 1 o'clock and respect all of you people's time for showing up on time. Tiffany, I have to remark, Tiffany White, your profile picture on your Zoom is so happy it made me smile. Like, it is super exciting. I love it.
Thank you.
That's because she's
One minute. 1 minute. It's your 1 minute warning. It's nice. We have a relatively small group for this one. I expected a smaller group for teams, so this is good. All right, guys, it's 1 o'clock, so we are going to get started. My name is Maggie McDowell. I'm one of the regional tech trainers for the New England region currently, and I am also the Director of Technology and Development in the Westwood and the Easton Market Centers. Ian, if you would want to introduce yourself.
I'm Ian Crocius. I am the Market Center Tech Trainer for Cape Cod and the Islands, and I'm going to help Maggie today monitor the chat.
Yes, so he's going to monitor the chat or chime in with something. We're going over teams today. So basically what you need to think about to set up your teams, how teams work, the settings involved with it. This is about getting started with teams. So there's a lot of things that you need to think about before you even kind of get started. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today too as well. And then we're going to go through all the settings and the different things that apply to a team account rather than a personal account. So there's a lot we're going to cover today, and I am sure you are going to have questions. Sometimes it's a little hard to wrap your head around, so I know we're going to have questions. I would ask that, I know we have a lot of D's and I's in the room, but I would definitely ask that you guys try to put your questions in chat or raise your hand instead of just shouting out your questions. There isn't as many people as there are on a normal one of these, but there's still quite a bit of people, and we can't just have people just yelling it. Is that okay? Is that all right for ground rules for you guys? Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get started, and I'm gonna share my screen. All right. Okay. And let's see, we are recording, which is good. Excellent. All right. So the team account, right? So when you have a team account, it is very different than a personal account. And there is a lot of things that you have to think of to make sure that you know how it works so that you can really figure out how it works for you and your team. And we're going to go over a lot of stuff today. And there is no best practice for setting up a team. And the reason for that is all of you run your teams differently. I am pretty sure that if you guys had a mastermind discussion, that you guys would all be like, no, but we already run our team this way, so we need to do it this way, or we need to do it this way. So there is no right way to do teams. There might be a few wrong ways, but there is no right way. So we're going to go over some stuff. And as you have questions, like I said, please put them in the chat and or please raise your hand. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with the very, very basics, okay? The biggest difference is the pull down here. So you have a pull down now with your name. It usually starts, if you've never been in your team account before, it pulls down as the personal. Now I know it says RTT Rainmaker, but this is the personal account here. And when you pull it down, you'll have something called the other account, and that's going to be your team account. And you can switch back and forth just by clicking on either one of them, right? And that makes a huge difference for what you see, especially when we're talking about contacts. And this is kind of where we're going to start here. So contacts in your database and what it is between a personal account and a team account. And the best way I can kind of describe it for you is sandboxes. Sandboxes and the three things that you need to remember. The three things that you need to remember are ownership, account, and assignee. Those three things. Remember those three things. We're going to touch back on those things. But let's talk about sandboxes for a second. Every team account, every person has two sandboxes, a personal sandbox and a team sandbox. Okay. And your contacts are your toys, right? So that they're all your Tonka Talks and your little shovels and your pails, right? They're your toys that your contacts are your toys. And what you get to decide is whether you use your contacts in either the personal sandbox or the team sandbox. And there's a difference between the two of them. If your contacts are in your personal sandbox, then the team cannot see them, cannot touch them, cannot do anything with them. They're in your personal sandbox, so they're in the personal account and they are owned by you, right? That's the personal sandbox. Now the team sandbox is where 99% of teams live out of, the team sandbox. So that sandbox is owned by the Rainmaker, right? It's a different sandbox, it's owned by the team. And you can bring your toys over there, right? So he has his own toys, the Rainmaker has his own toys, and you as the agent have their own toys that you can bring over and start playing with in the Rainmaker sandbox. And over there, now the Rainmaker can see all the toys that are in the sandbox at the same time, so they can see all the contacts, right? And it doesn't matter who owns them, whether the team owns them or an agent on the team owns them. Everybody can be seen by the Rainmaker, okay? The only thing in the team sandbox that agents on the team can see with the standard permission, which we'll talk about, is they're only gonna be able to see the stuff that they own or the stuff that's been assigned to them. So what I mean by assigned is in the team sandbox, let's just say, the team person has a contact that they're going to give to a buyer agent on the team to work with. They can assign that buyer agent or that lead to a person on the team, right? So one of the agents on the team. So those are those three things that matter. It's in the team account. It is owned by the Rainmaker, and they are assigning it to the buyer agent on the team. So those are the three things that you kind of have to remember when it comes to teams and the separation between the two. All right. So that is the difference between the personal sandbox and the team sandbox. Is everybody following me so far? If you don't, that's okay. Here's a good time for stop for questions on this one, because this is the part that always messes people up. And, okay. All right. Excellent. Well, that was easy. Usually that's where I get the most questions. All right. So now that we kind of talked about who owns what, let's talk a little bit about the views that you can have as a Rainmaker for the team in contacts, right? So in contacts, right, I can move from my personal account, and this is my personal account. These are the people in my personal account. And then I can move over to my team account over here. And these are the people in my team account, right? They should, and I'll preface this by saying you should never have a person in both. You should never have a person in the personal account and the team account at the same time, because you are going to get confused. It is two contacts at that point in time, not one contact. So if you make notes in one, it's not going to make notes in the other. And that's going to get confusing in the background. So you should have one person that should either be in the team account or the personal account. But for the Rainmaker, you can, at any point in time, see what's in here. So you can see what's owned by you, and you can see right away, like you can see some additional columns that can be seen by people in teams. And you have the ownership column, assignee column, you have tags and legacy tags. We're going to cover legacy tags in one quick second here. But you can kind of view all of the things that are in here. You can also filter specifically by who owns something. So stuff that's owned by a certain person. You can filter who is assigned to a certain person. And you can filter by who is branded to a certain person. Branded means, for example, for what app somebody has. So if a contact has my buyer agents app, then they're going to be able to see them under the buyer agents branded to section in the filter. That can get, so you can filter out by all of those things. You can also export all of the team contacts. You can export only the ones that you own. You can export, and then you can export them as owned ones or team contacts, so either one. And you can do it by PDF, CSV, and you can do it as mailing labels as well. So there's that. And then I want to make one more mention of thing here, which is the import. Okay. So the import is very special in the Rainmaker account, because when you import, you can say who owns the contacts and who is assigned to those contacts. So if, for example, maybe you get a new agent on your team and they want to move their database into the team account, right? You can, as the Rainmaker, take their Excel sheet, import it, make sure and say like, okay, these are owned by the new agent, right? So the agent, and I want them all to be assigned to the agent. Or they can be owned by me. Let's just say it's an open house sheet, right? So I can import the open house sheet, but I want to assign them to a very specific person on that team. Like maybe it was the AMCA, the RTT AMCA who was working at open house. So they're going to be assigned to following up with those leads. So that is what you can have as various options there, depending on what's going on for those things. Somebody had asked, get to the choices. Yeah. Okay. So once again, you might need to move, by the way, this is directly under where everybody in the Zoom is located. So you might need to move that, which is why you might not have seen it. It's right next to add contacts. There's 3 dots, and that's where you export. You can export all those people. Okay. All right. So I mentioned that.
Maggie.
Yes.
Patricia's asking if you could go over, explain the branded versus assigned.
Sure. So what branded means that particular, so it means who has whose app, right? So on the KW mobile app, or they have an account on the website, they're both the same, that a contact is assigned to a certain person. So what I mean by branded is, so let's just say contact Amy Jones was branded towards, she's got the app and it's branded towards my buyer agent. That's what that means for branded. Assigned has nothing to do with that. Assigned means that I'm just giving somebody that particular contact to play with. So they're gonna follow up. They're going to make all the notes. That contact is assigned to that particular agent on my team. So it could be branded to someone else completely. It could be branded to me and I can assign it to somebody else on my team. All right. Okay, hopefully that answers that question. Okay, so let's talk a second about legacy tags. And this gets mentioned with the difference between the personal account and the team account. The personal account has its own set of tags. The team account has its own set of tags. If you were to move people out of the personal account into the team account, which we're going to talk about how to do that, then it's going to move that person over, and any tag that it had before will become something called a legacy tag. And a legacy tag is just literally showing you what they were tagged as before. So, before, when this person was in the personal account, they had a legacy tag of MNN. Legacy tags are stuff that you can filter by. Can't really do much more than that. And the reason why you can filter by them is because once you move them over to the team account, you're going to want to associate the appropriate team tag to that person. So because this person had the MNN tag, someone should go in here and add a team tag for MNN, right? So that it has the exact same tag. It just is allowing it, what it is, the legacy tag allows you to move people from the personal account to the team account and still be able to look them up and then make it searchable and organizable into the team account easily. Because what I would do is I would filter by the legacy tag and then bulk add that particular tag for that filter, so that now they have the team tag associated with them instead of the legacy tag associated with them. And that is what the legacy tag is. Okay. So in terms of moving people back and forth between the team account and the personal account. So if you are somebody who was using the personal account and then eventually you're going to move over to the team account, you're going to need to move your people from the personal to the team account. That is something that's relatively easy to do. It's a bulk action. You could do it one person at a time, or it's a bulk action. So I could say, I need to move all of these people. So I'm going to select all of these people, and I'm going to, at the very bottom of the bulk actions is the change account button. So I'm going to say, I'm going to change account. I'm not going to do it for all these people. Let's just do it for somebody here. Carolina Stone here. And we'll do change account. I get this option, and I'm going to move it to the regional tech trainer team. So I can move them from one place to the other and move them back and forth that way. So that is an easy way to do. Changing account is easy. It is a bulk action. Changing ownership is not so easy. Ownership change happens on a singular person case-by-case basis. There is no bulk action to change ownership. And there's a reason for that. You don't want people to just willy-nilly change ownership of somebody, right? Changing account's one thing, but like exchanging hands of a contact is very important. And ownership is very important. Ownership means who owns that contact. If a buyer agent were to leave, which contacts do they get to take with them? They should only get to take with them the stuff that is owned by them, nothing that is owned by the team. So if somebody's coming on your team and they have their mom, they're probably going to own that particular contact, right? So when they leave, they should be able to take their mom with them. However, if it's somebody from an open house, it should be owned by the team and assigned to that particular agent. So when they leave, they don't get to take that contact with them, right? So ownership is a big deal. Ownership change can only happen one at a time with an edit section and being able to change ownership that way. It's a much more, it's harder to do, and there's a good reason for that. Okay. All right. So I also want to make a mention that there is something here in contacts under the team account called lead pool. Okay. And what that is, if I click this, it is my lead pool. So it's basically contacts that have come in through various lead sources, whether it be a landing page or a Facebook ad, and they're not assigned to anybody. They're not really in the contacts. They're just in the lead pool. So sometimes this happens a lot. If you're missing a particular contact, it's probably sitting in the lead pool. So make sure you remember that this little button is here. This allows you to kind of go back and to see anything that is not assigned to anybody and no one's really taking care of it, which can happen when you're routing leads and somebody didn't pick up that lead, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay, I'm going to pause here for any questions regarding moving accounts, changing things.
We have a few. What happens to existing opportunities if they change from personal to team?
Okay, the opportunity stays in the same spot. Opportunities do not move. The only difference is going to be if on an opportunity there it lists who the contact is, and on most opportunities you can click on the contact, it will take you to the contact screen. If you're on a personal opportunity and you click on the contact name, it just will not go to that contact anymore. It'll say, oh, that person's moved. So the opportunity stays where it is.
And then someone is asking how they can add virtual assistants.
We will get there. We'll get
Okay,
there.
perfect.
Yeah, when we hit the settings tab, we will get there.
And then I believe you've touched on, you do have to retag contacts when they're moved into the team account.
You do have
from
to
a personal account.
Yes, right. And we're actually going to touch about that more in settings in 1 second. All right, excellent. And that is actually where I'm going to jump to next, is in the settings section, because it has a lot to do with contacts. So we're going to move on to the settings section. Now there are two sets of settings for Rainmaker. There are settings under the personal account, and there are settings under the team account. You're going to see different options. There'll be more options under the team account than there will be under your personal account as the Rainmaker. So I want to make that very clear. The first is in general settings. You are going to see something called default account. This is super important. I cannot stress this enough. If you are using the team account, which you all should be, you should default to walking into the team account every single time. That way you don't have to go in every single time and switch from the personal to the team, right? This prevents your buyer agents or the agents on your team from accidentally adding stuff. If they're adding like open house people or things like that, it prevents them from adding them mistakenly into their personal account, which then they're going to have to move later. This makes it very easy every single time you walk in, so there's less of a chance of that happening. So that's the default account. Team management is a very big part of the Rainmaker settings section under team. Here, you're going to see the list of all of your team members. Now, it should be everybody who is in Winmore underneath your team, right? So anybody that your office puts under your team. If you're missing somebody here, if there's an agent in your team that is supposed to be on here, go talk to your MCA. It probably just means they have to associate them to your team. So they should all be here. Here is also where you see permissions. Permissions is super important. Permissions allow people to see different things depending on what permissions they have. There are three different permissions: standard, enhanced, and unlimited. Standard is what most basic team members in your account are going to see. So that means that anytime they're in the team account, they are only going to see people that are owned by them or that are assigned to them or that they are collaborating on. And I didn't mention collaborator, but I'll talk about that in a second. So those are the three different things that they can see. They can't see anything else. They can't see Carlos, who's also a buyer agent on the team. They can't see Carlos's people. They can only see the ones that are assigned to them or that are owned by them. Enhanced are what you're going to give most admins. Enhanced is the ability, an enhanced person, a permission account can see everything they can see everything in the Rainmaker people. They can see all the people. They can do the necessary things to move people around and assign certain people to certain to contacts and add collaborators and things like that. However, they do not have delete privileges, right? They won't be able to change any settings. They won't be able to delete anything. It is what most admin accesses have. And then there's the unlimited. Unlimited is unlimited, right? So they can delete things. They can do pretty much anything a Rainmaker can do. That is what the unlimited section is for. I always tell Rainmakers, look, if you've given your admin a Rainmaker, if your login, then you might as well give them unlimited. It's the same exact thing, right? If you are a husband wife, then you both should have unlimited access, right? There should be giving yourself the access to everything that's in the particular database. So those are the 3 different types of sections. And you can change at any given time the permissions. Standard is the one that comes in automatically for any agent that gets added to your team after it's been started, just so you know. Now, somebody had asked about admins. Well, this is where you add admins as well. Now, there are 2 ways to add admins. The first is get them added to WinMore. There's no reason why an admin who is completely dedicated to you cannot be added to WinMore. There is a special, it costs you $25 a year. They get in here, they have a little more access to things than a guest user account. The admin should be they should not be outside admins of KW. So like a TA or somebody who handles a bunch of different teams, right? Those are outside admins. But if someone is dedicated to you, I recommend you definitely add them to WinMore underneath your team. And you can absolutely do that. Also gives them some opportunities to create profit share and other things like that. But that's all. But they can come in here and you can see this one here as an administrative assistant. You can also add guest admins. So guest admins, like I said, are for outside vendors. Maybe you have a transaction coordinator that does a bunch of different stuff for your office and you want them to manage your transactions. Or maybe you have an admin that works for a bunch of different agents and you want to get them in that way. You can do that by hitting add member, which might be underneath our Zoom screen, Zoom faces. But if you hit add member, you're going to add a guest user. And that adds a guest user to the team. You can only have 2 guest users per team, right? And that's another reason why to add like actual admins into WinMore, it frees up those other 2 admins for other things. When you add a guest user, the MCA is going to get a notice saying that you've added a guest user. They do have 72 hours to say, nope, I don't want that person to be a guest user. And then your admin will get a username and password to use to log into the system. As a note, adding a team member doesn't actually add a team member to your team. Your MCA actually needs to still add that person into your team account in order for that to work. So make sure you recognize that. Okay, any questions about permissions or the team management section?
Someone is asking, what about members of expansion locations?
Okay. So that's a little more tricky. If you have a team over there, it's gonna be a little different. If you have somebody who is on your team in a different location, you should be able to see them. If you have another team, which I have seen before, I've actually worked with somebody who had a team here and a team in Florida, you will actually have a separate pull down for that other team, and that team will have its own management system as well. So it depends on the different way you've got these things set up within WinMore.
And Sue is asking, TCs who are KW employees, I assume, would be added as unlimited.
No, probably not. Not transaction coordinators, I would say. I don't think I would give my transaction coordinator the ability to delete people. I would say that'd be enhanced, unless you have a different relationship with them. But for most, I would say most TCs would be under enhanced. All right. Any more questions?
Abigail is saying, I don't have any team members listed nor a button to add a member, so she might need to contact her MCA.
Abigail, are you a Rainmaker? You might want to respond to that. You can only see if you're in Rainmaker, and also make sure that you have, you're in your team account. So check those things. If you have nobody under your team members and you're a Rainmaker, then you should make sure that you talk to your MCA about who's in your team and way more. Okay, cool. Any more questions about that, or if we move on? Cool. All right. Okay, so there's a few more things under command settings that we're going to talk about. The first being under contacts. So remember, contact tags. The tags under the team account are more than likely going to be different than the ones that are under the personal account, right? So they are two separate sets of tags. So you got to make sure that any tag that you need for your team, right? And you as the Rainmaker get to set how things are organized, right? It may mean that you guys need to sit down with your team members and talk about what kind of tags and what kind of organization you would like for your team account. But this is where you add tags for your team. All right, it works just like tags in the personal account. Lead routing is for routing leads. This is where you set up your routes for certain things. So for an example, if I wanted to create a route for Facebook ads, I can. And you can set your routing rule, right? So I can do it random, I can do it weighted random, I can do jump ball, I can do round robin, and I can do assign specific to a specific agent. So I can choose certain things, and I can get super specific about when certain things happen. So I can have 3 different routes for Facebook ads, for leads that come in through Facebook ads. Let's just say, I have someone who works specifically on Sundays, right? Who just takes leads and takes them in, and then they need to take care of those. So I can set something for any Facebook lead that comes in for my ads on a Sunday to go directly to a very specific person. And then for the rest of the times, I set up a new route for that it maybe does jump ball after that. So you can choose how that goes. So let's just say I want to do random let me make this an easy one. I would do random. I want it to be for all times, right? And I can change that. And then I have a claim action deadline. So what this means is how long does that person in the when it goes down the list, how long does the person who gets a lead have to claim it, right? So if the person doesn't claim it within the allotted amount of time, it goes to the next person on the list, right? So if you have a bunch of people on your team, it would go through until somebody claims it. If nobody claims it, it will go into the lead pool. Okay, so let's just say I want to give them an hour to claim it, and we go to next. And this is where you pick, okay, this specifically is for my Facebook ads. So anybody who comes in as a Facebook ad lead source is going to be on this. And then I get to choose who gets to be part of the lead. Now I can have everybody, or I can say like, hey, only these people are my people that I want to be part of this lead routing. And then when I'm done, I can hit save, and now I have that route. And there's a lot of routes in this particular account because it is a training account. But if I need to shut it off for any point in time, I can just click the active button and turn it on or turn it off. I can also hit the three dots, and I can duplicate it, archive it, or edit it again. So I have options regarding the lead routing. Okay. Any questions regarding lead routing?
Where is the lead sent? Email, command, text message, Facebook notification?
So when you get a lead through the route, you will get an email. You will also get a notification and a notification bell. And Kelly should also do a push notification as long as you have push notifications on for Kelly. Kelly will let you know you have a lead as well. So all 3 ways you should get notification, and also on your dashboard as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that's lead routing. All right, let's move on to opportunities. So you have some additional options in updates for opportunities, right? And these options are specifically for your team. You can also change your options for your personal, but mostly you're probably going to be running out of the team account. So you'll be running these. You can set when client updates go out. For those of you who don't know what a client update is, a client update is a checklist item in your opportunity that when it's selected as a client update, when you check off that item as done, your client will get an email from the system that says, hey, we did this task today, just so you know. And you can set here who gets an email. You can also say that the assignee will get an email as well as the owner. And you can say like, oh, I only want the primary client to get it or the co-client. So you can go ahead and change that depending on what you want to do there. Okay. You can also do team permissions here. Team permissions allow you to completely turn off the ability for your team members to create personal opportunities. 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to do this. There really should be no, if you are working as a team, there really should be no reason for them to do personal opportunities. And so you should be, most of the time you're going to see, hey, I only want them to create, that nobody can create private opportunities. They can only create team opportunities. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can actually select specific agents who get to have personal opportunities. So you can actually give some it's not an all or nothing. You can actually choose certain people who can and who cannot within that. Okay, so that is opportunities. You are also going to see something different in smart plans because when you are in the team account, everybody uses the same smart plans. Everybody. I'm going to talk about that more when we get to it. But you can control how those smart plans get sent. You can say, hey, any task that gets assigned through one of the smart plans, they can go to the assignee or they can all go to the Rainmaker. Same thing with the email. Is the email coming just from the Rainmaker or is it just coming from the assignee? And these are the defaults. You can change this per plan, by the way. Same with the SMS and text messenger. Is it coming from the Twilio account of the Rainmaker or is it coming from the Twilio account of the assignee? Those are the things that you can change. You can change the defaults of how smart plans are run. You can change each individual smart plan, but that in particular is the default and how all things are run. Okay. All right. Questions about those settings? Okay, neat. Let's go down to smart plans then. Let's talk a little bit more about smart plans. Okay. So smart plans, like I said, when everybody's using the team, all the team uses the same smart plans. So this usually is a conversation between you and your team as to what kind of smart plans you might want to send out, because those are the ones that you have to get ready to go in order for them to use smart plans, but the people they are assigned to are owned within the team account. So you get an opportunity to have these available and ready to use for them when they need to use a smart plan. It keeps everybody using the same marketing solutions, by the way, so which is, I think, is a great thing. You want everybody be on the same page, everybody doing that, everybody's doing the same plans, the same reach outs, right? It is the same level of service for every client, no matter who is doing the service. So you build these smart plans, and then they're all going to be under the team plans. You have access to the library like everybody else. So you can grab them from the library and bring them in here, edit them to your heart's content. And then everybody can use them at that point in time. Who is using the team account? All right. Okay. All right. So let's talk opportunities. All right. So opportunities is where you're going to see, and you're going to see up top, that you're going to have an additional option than anybody with just a personal account. You're going to have the team as well as your personal account here. Now, if you're on a team, everybody should be using the team opportunities. And as a Rainmaker, you want that to happen so you have visibility into what's going on with your team and your business, right? It shows you can at all point in time see just the entire team's opportunities. You can see a specific person's opportunities. You can see and you can just see your own if you want to. But right now I have all assignees. So this is giving me a bird's eye view of the business of the team at any given point in time. It will always show you the potential and the probable of the income that is in here, right? So you have all of those things. It works just like it does. The opportunities works in the personal, meaning you set up the stages. So the cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, close, those stay the same. But inside of it, you can edit these stages that everybody has to use no matter what. So, and this is where you can, as a Rainmaker, really follow what the people on your team are doing with leads, right? So if I have somebody doing open house leads, like I can see their conversion rate and see that they're making sure that they're doing what they need to do. And depending on how you organize things, you might do things in certain different ways. I'm going to highlight these over here because these, the A, B, and C, these are how some of the top teams are organized their cultivate section. And what they're doing with this is they are using this so they can see what their buyer agents or seller agents are doing with certain opportunities. Because I was talking with David Voorhees the other day, and what he does is he makes sure at a glance he can see what's going on, because he can see that he said everybody should have at least one task, and that task should look like this. I should always see a follow-up task ready for them to follow up with the next person. There should be a date associated with it, and the date should be relevant to what section they're in. So 6 months, like every month, there should be reach out. 3 to 6, maybe every 2 weeks. Seller less than 3, maybe every week there should be a follow-up checklist. And so he said every time I walk in, I should see like a 0 out of 1 or 1 out of 2 or 2 out of 3. That way I know my people are doing what they should be doing. I know that they're actually following up and that they're setting the next one until they move into the appointment phase from here. So this is a great way for Rainmakers to keep track of what their people are doing within the system, that they're making sure that they're following up with people. And you, as the Rainmaker, like I said, set up the stages and the checklist that you want people to follow. For all of these opportunities, right, you need to assign, when you create an opportunity, create an opportunity with the team. The team will be up here in the top right. So that's how you know it's a team opportunity. The owner will always be the Rainmaker. And the assignees are the people who are working the transaction. Anybody who is assignee can do things within the opportunity. So it should always, the people here should always be anybody who needs to do anything with the checklist or with tasks in here, or need to talk back and forth regarding the actual transaction. So if I know that my admin needs to be in here, I'm going to make sure that so she can do items and check items, make sure things are get done. And I'm going to add her as an assignee, right? When I create it, she'll be able to come in here, assign tasks to herself or assign tasks to anybody else who is assigned to the opportunity itself. So this allows things to happen and people to check off that they've done things in the checklist, and everybody who needs to be on it to follow with that particular transaction. Also within an actual opportunity, right, there's a place for all of you to take notes. You can see in the timeline what's been happening, and you can see who's done it, right? So it doesn't necessarily, you can see like, oh, I can see that this person did this and this person did that, and that can be very important to see who's done what. You can also have discussions with your team members within this, and in the discussion, so if let's just say I'm working with somebody on a transaction, I need to tell them something, I can at the team member so that they get a notification through Kelly or through command that I've left them a message in here. So I can say like, hey, test admin need a copy of that check, right? And then you can send it off to the test admin, and the test admin will get a notification. And then you can see the discussion all the way down back and forth as to what happened within that particular opportunity. So it allows a lot of back and forth and a lot of what's going on with the particular opportunity itself. Okay. All right. Questions regarding the opportunity section with Teams? Wow, you guys are either I'm really good or you guys are really quiet. Sure, which one? Okay. All right. So those are most of the stuff that you're going to need to know regarding Teams. Here are some other things that you should need to know. For campaigns. Oh, also I wanted to mention too, for opportunities, you cannot create a team opportunity unless the contact is in the team account. It is important, right? So it's another reason to have everybody in the team account. If I want to follow along and watch everything as the Rainmaker, they need to be in the team account to create a team opportunity. So that's very, very important. Campaigns, I do want to mention, as of right now, campaigns is not team account.
Hello, hi, I have a question.
Okay.
Hi, I have a question. For opportunities, how do we try to make like a timeline with dates for the stages of the opportunity?
A timeline with dates?
Yes.
I mean, you
just like, for example, in Brevity, if you try to put in the listing date and the closing date of the contract, it will give you like a timeline with specific dates on it.
So as of right now, there is no like, yeah, if my offer is here, it doesn't just automatically like spread the date around, right? You yourself have to add a date to the actual checklist items that you need dates assigned to.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. Okay. So back to what I was talking about with campaigns. So campaigns are not teamified yet. It is on the roadmap, right? They are slowly teamifying each of the applets within Command. This one is not teamified. So you cannot do one-off emails. You can't do direct mail through here. You can do paid ads with the team account, and any of the leads will go into the lead pool for the Rainmaker. However, with if the sort of path forward on that, if you need to do an email, use Smart Plans, because you can do the same thing with Smart Plans that you can do with an email. You can send an item of value through email to your database using Smart Plans. So that's a workaround with that. There really is no path forward on the direct mail at the moment. I mean, unless you're doing geographical farms, that's fine. You can use a geographical farm. But if you're trying to mail directly to your clientele, you'd have to move them back to your personal account and then back to the team account. Or you would need to, yeah, that's probably the best way to do it at that point in time. But the campaigns currently right now are not teamified. It is on the roadmap, like I said. Like right now, everything is on everything's on a release freeze because they are working on the stability and the 66-day challenges. As soon as that is done, you're going to start seeing a few more releases here and there, but it is in the pipeline. It's not quite here yet. All right. Okay. Awesome. So those are the kind of things I wanted to talk to you guys today about all of this stuff here. If you are currently not using the team account, think about how you want it set up before you start using. Don't just throw everything in there without thinking about it ahead of time. Think about what tags you want, what smart plans you want everybody to use, and how you're going to get that set up. You set up your opportunities the way you want them to be set up, right? Make it so that when people start rolling in the system, they start rolling in the system, okay? So you might have to think about it a little bit. It might be different per person, and per team, depending on how they run certain things within the team. But there are, you do need to think about certain things as you get started with the team account. So I'm going to leave it wide open for questions now. And if you have questions, please raise your hand so they can call you on you one at a time. We got 10 minutes left.
Sue in the chat did ask, does a TC, to add a TC under settings, do they have to be a contact?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question, but I'm not sure how to raise my hand.
Okay, go ahead.
It was taking me longer to try to find that, and then I just started talking. So when creating your team, you said, figure out what kind of tags and smart plans that you want to use.
Mhm.
Is there anything we can look at for guidance as to what other teams are using that works well? Or
So I would definitely mention, I mean, so smart plans, right? Like just check out the library, right? The library.
Oh, right. Yep.
You pick that stuff up. And just think about what you're trying to accomplish and what things you need to do. Like I should have a Facebook follow plan. I should have an open house follow plan. I should have a post-close follow plan, right? Think about the things that you would normally, I should have a lead gen plan or a sphere of influence plan. Like think about those kinds of things. And that should really help you kind of figure out which plans you want to grab or create yourself. For tags, and I'll say what I say for everybody, no matter if you're a personal or a team account, tags should really help you out, right? So organization of your database is so super important, right? A database is only good as the information it can give you when you need it. And I use tags honestly for how I lead generate and how I market to people, right? Think about how you lead generate and how you market to people and build tags around that. Right. So if I know I'm a type of person who's going to send stuff to people in a certain town, I have a tag for a certain town. If I know I'm going to send stuff for people who have kids, I have a tag for kids, right? If I know I'm going to send stuff regarding, like, if I have do pie things, like, oh, I'll have a pie day. Or if I know I'm going to have open house tags, like have an open house tag, right? Or a vendor tag, or, think about ways that you market people and work with that, right? You could do open house in a certain town. Like for example, if I wanted to send everybody who I got an open house in a certain town, like an update, which just shows all the new, all price changes within that town, I'm going to pull, I should have an open house, like Westwood tag. So I can just pull up that tag and I can throw anybody, I can throw a smart plan together that sends hey, check out the price changes in the market for how, I know you were looking in this area. Here are all the price changes within the last week, right? And then have that go out to all those people, right? So think about how you market, and that should be how you use your tags, right? And lead generates the same way. Like if I call certain people at the same time, then I should have a tag for that so I can pull them all at the same time and call and smile and dial. It's just a list of people I can go down the list. Some people use like the DTV2, like the A and W and I forget the letters now. They have that as a tag, so they can pull those people to call during those time periods. Utilize that, and then I'm going to add this a little bit. This is a bonus item for you guys. Use custom fields. Use custom fields to go with those tags. If I have a tag that says this person has kids, I'm going to have a custom field that goes with that says what are the kids' names. So I know what the kids' names are. Or if I have a tag called vendor, I will have a custom tag that says vendor type. So I know that it's a plumber. And those custom tags, by the way, those custom fields are a searchable item within contacts. So I can then type in plumber and all my plumbers will show up. So those are all different things that you can use within your database. Like, so organization is key. So think about, like I said, think about how you market and how you lead generate, and that should help you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a few smart plan questions. Is it true that you cannot edit an active smart plan with contacts assigned to it?
Correct. Once it's gone, it's gone. Once it's started, if there's people on it, you can't change it. And that the main reason for that is because there's people at all different parts. Like you can add someone to a smart plan at any given time. So someone might be on step 5 and someone else might be on step 1. So it can't figure out where you were with that, and it doesn't, like, it's kind of could be a mess afterwards. If you need to make a change, you're gonna have to stop the plan and start the plan again.
And then is there a limit number allowed to be added on a team smart plan?
I haven't hit it yet. There might be. I mean, you can only send let's put it this way. You have a 5,000 a month within command. Once you hit that 5,000, then you have to buy the next tier, right? So then you might have to buy the next tier up. The 5,000 comes free. So I guess you could think of that as your limit until if you need to spend the extra $10 to get another 5,000, I think.
And then Carol is asking, when we went to a team, the smart plan stopped. Do we have to start the smart plan over again?
Yes, that's a great point. Thank you very much for bringing that up. If you are moving people from the personal account to the team account and they are on a smart plan, that smart plan is going to stop because that was your personal smart plan, right? So they're no longer on that and you're going to have to reassociate them with a team smart plan. So if you are moving, right, if you are think about that a little bit. If you know you're moving from one plan to another, the personal to a team, think about what kind of plans you have active. Like you might want just a generic lead. Let's just say I had some people on a Facebook follow-up one. I was moving people to a team account. I might in the team account create like a generic lead follow-up just to have those people just jump on so they can continue getting touched. Right. If you're on a neighborhood nurture, that's easy, right? That just gets that done one a month. That's not a problem, right? So that one's not a problem. But or a birthday or anniversary, those aren't problems. But like a lead follow-up, you're going to have to think a little bit about the new plan that they get put on.
And if a team member started an opportunity in a personal account and wants to change, they do have to start over. If they want to change it to a team opportunity. Correct.
Yes. Once an opportunity is in a spot, it is in a spot. So if you accidentally put it in the personal, it's in there. Doesn't mean you can't finish it there. If you want to finish it there and just start the next one fresh, or if you want to end that one and start a new one, right? That's up to you. Same thing happens if you accidentally put something in listings that it should have been a buyer. You're stuck. You can't move it. It's there.
And then how does the team member keep that contact and follow along in the opportunity process once it's in a team opportunity? Is that how tags work? They also want to be sure they always have their contact ownership.
Okay. So if I move someone from my personal account to the team account, I still own that contact. It's still my contact. So the ownership stays with me at that point in time. And I can kind of prove that to you guys. So don't worry about ownership. You can always, do I still have one in here? Oops, that's the team account. That's okay. Also, what was the other question? What was the beginning of that question?
I think they're trying to follow it in the process, and that would probably be if they make sure they're the assignee, then they can follow it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to make sure. Yeah. If you need to be on that opportunity, and if you're creating the opportunity, you are assigned to that opportunity regardless, right? If you're working with somebody else on it, or maybe an admin is creating the opportunity, they need to make sure that you are added to that opportunity as an assignee, so you can follow along with it, with that. And the other thing too, if you are directly adding somebody into the team account, if you are a regular buyer agent or agent on the team, anything added directly to the Rainmaker account is going to be owned by the team. So a reminder of that for ownership. If you need to import a bunch of things and you want it to be in the team account, you guys saw at the very beginning, if the Rainmaker imports it, they can choose that the ownership be a different agent and not the Rainmaker. So, yeah, if that helps answer this question.
So I'm sorry. So when you're, let's say the buyer's agent on the team is working with a new client, maybe a personal client of theirs that hasn't been added to the contacts, but they want to be added into the team, but they remain as owner.
Sure. I'm going to add them to my personal account first and then just transfer it over.
And then transfer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it necessary to add team tags in addition to legacy?
Yes.
What can we do or not do with one versus the other?
Yeah, so legacy tags are just you can just filter with them. If you want to search to add for a smart plan, it only pulls actual team tags at that point in time. You cannot search for legacy tags. I will also give you this little hint too. You know how you can add colors to tags? If you're like moving from personal to team account, have all of your team account have them all be colors. And the reason why I say that is the legacy tags all are the white with the blue. So it just makes it easier to figure out which one is the actual legacy tag and which one is the actual team tag. If it's colored, you know it's the team tag. If it's the white and blue, you know it's the legacy tag. So that's a little hint. I ran into that. It's like, oh my God, I don't know which one's the right one. So.
Can I move a smart plan built in a personal profile over to my Rainmaker account now, or do I have to rebuild it?
You do not have to rebuild it. That's what the publish button is for. That is the one. Yeah. Publish the heck out of it. Name it something you can find later. Right. So like, anything from my office, I definitely put like my BSW, like name it something you can find later, and you can publish it and then go filter by it in the library in your team account, add it to the team account. And then please remove it from the publish, just because in case you haven't noticed, the library is a little overwhelmed. So please.
And Carol's asking, all agents have a personal account, correct?
Oh yes, everybody's got a personal.
And then what is the limit to the number of days for a delay in a smart plan?
30.
And that's everything that's in the chat for now.
Cool beans. Look at that. And it's 2:00, guys. That's pretty good, I would say. My work here is done. Awesome. Yeah, so you're welcome. Yeah, so that's it for the team account. If you need more help, please talk to your MCTT in your office or your leadership team. They should be able to help you with this. Yeah, I mean, teams really, for Rainmakers, is really helpful keeping track of what's going on, right? You need to know what your business looks like and what your people are doing and making sure they're following up. And this is a great way to do it. So you guys can start using it. Cool. All right, guys. I think that's it. Neat. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. All right. I think I'm going to end this. I got to go back to transmit.
Have fun with that.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. I love this stuff. This is my fun. This is my fun time. Hey, Chris. All right. I'm out. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later. I'll see you. Actually, I won't see you on Friday, and I'll see you
Next
week.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.